Hello, I'm Victoria Pendragon. Welcome to my alternate reality, which I would like to share with whoever wants to see it, for purposes of making other people out there who have configurations like my own comfortable in talking about their worlds, because heaven knows I meet enough people who, when I speak to them, tell me, "You're the only person I can talk to about this." That doesn't seem right to me. And so I'm out here talking, just so that more people can feel comfortable talking about these things that happen to them. Every man I've been married to, I sound like I've been married to a boatload, been married 3 times, but every one of the men I've been married to has experienced, on more than one occasion, interdimensional events. And at least in 2 cases, I know I'm the only person they told about that. So it's like there's a part of life that people aren't sharing. And I think in not sharing, and of course, when you don't speak about something, it becomes something not to be spoken of. So I am speaking. And this is my nature. On my Twitter account, I have myself listed as a spiritual troublemaker, because I will talk about things that other people won't. And today, I just want to mention briefly about the story of how I found out that although I had known all my life that I was a strange person and did things other people didn't do, saw things they didn't see, and so on and so forth, I didn't know that, aside from reading tarot, that could be useful in any way. Until one day, I kind of got recognized. And it was the strangest, how would you say, scene for that to happen, because at the time, I was working as a customer service representative for a corporation, everything very professional and all that. And I had met this woman during the course of events. She worked in the sales department there. And our first meeting was over the telephone, and not very fortuitous. She basically dressed me down for not understanding that the sales force was to be catered to. I was glad she did it. It let me understand my job better. And but at the time, I wasn't so happy. At any rate, that was our background. And so we were off not on a very good foot. Somewhat later, we met again, and she discovered, through my introduction of myself, that she knew a member of my family. Actually, it turned out she knew 2 members of my family in very different parts of the country. And that was kind of interesting right there, and I'm smart enough to know to pay attention, because although we'd gotten off on a bad footing, there's a link there, some kind of energetic thing. She's being drawn to my family in general. So I began to feel more gentle towards her. And sometime later, she came to me and told me that she had a headache, which was kind of out of the blue, because we really didn't, except for those 2 other instances, we really hadn't talked. And she came to me, told me that she had a headache, and that I could fix it. I was unaware of that. But because of the unusual nature of what had transpired so far with her, I thought, well, she taught me something the first time, so maybe there's something here. And we made arrangements to meet at a later time, whereupon I would help her headache go away. And sure enough, she came to my house later that day, and she sat down, and I did what seemed the only logical thing to do. I had no background in hands-on healing as such. When I had scleroderma, and actually this was in the days when I was still getting treatments, even though the scleroderma had abated, I had received shiatsu treatments. But that's very specific, and you're putting a pressure here, pressure there. I had never experienced Reiki or anything like that. Surely I had seen something in movies about people doing hands-on healing work. I must have something, or had future memories. At any rate, she sat down, lay down, actually. I put my hands on her head, and darned if I didn't feel something. It was amazing. And I felt something, she felt something, the headache went away. She was right, again. And that was how I discovered that I had this gift of energy. I was still not afraid of it, but just reticent to share that with people. Ultimately, I did. I got over it thanks to my second husband, who convinced me that obviously it was there for a reason. Prior to my coming out of the closet on that matter, this same woman approached me again after a period of, we took care of the headache, not much followed in the way of contact after that, until she approached me one day and told me that a friend of hers was dying in a city that was halfway across the country, that she was in a coma, and that she needed some information about how she was doing spiritually, in a sense, and that I could do that too. She said, "You can do that, you know." No, I didn't. But I went home that night, armed with only the woman's name and her location, and did. And I came back the next day and I said, "This is what your friend said." And she said, "Yeah, that's her." She said she uses that term all the time. I don't remember now what it was, but I was kind of blown away. It's a very strange sensation to do something you've never done before and don't even know about, and then have somebody tell you you did a good job, because you're thinking, well, how will I ever reproduce that? So that was that. And that's my telephone, which is supposed to be off. At any rate, that was my introduction to the fact that I could also do remote work and could contact people remotely as well, which ended up being another thing that I did. And all thanks to this woman who didn't know me from Adam months previously, but knew something. Oh, that phone is not going to stop ringing because I unplugged the answering machine. Well, let it go. Oh, did let it go. At any rate, I wanted to bring that up because she trusted her intuition. I had been trusting mine throughout the scleroderma episode, and that certainly played a big part in my healing. She trusted hers, I trusted mine. We got together. She opened me up in coming forward with that information to a career that lasted quite a long time, doing hands-on healing and remote healing and deep possession and things like that. I seemed to be a natural at it. I think ultimately that came from my childhood experience of being out of body, and certainly from the abuse experience as a child, because I learned to gauge the energy of the abusers and to respond to that in a way that would hasten their departure from me. And that essentially is the skill I used when I lay my hands on people. I could feel what was happening inside them, just as I had been able to feel what was happening inside the abusers. So you never know what strange gifts you're going to get in life, and you never know from where you may get them, because certainly that was a dubious introduction to my skills, and skills I didn't even know I had until this woman brought them up to me and introduced me to myself in so many words. It was quite amazing. And that's all I want to go into for today. I hope that telephone thing isn't too disturbing. And we'll talk again. If you want to check more out about my story, you can do that on my site, which is victoriapendragon.com. And on the page that says, I believe it's About Me, you can actually read a description of the early childhood stuff that made me what I am. So, who can fuss? Thanks. Bye.